Hi, my name is Kate Pantelides, and I'm an assistant professor and the associate director of first-year writing at Eastern Michigan University. My presentation is entitled, Why Won't This Thing Open? Negotiating New WPA Identity. On the whole, writing programs are increasingly open. Our curriculum, instructors, assessment, and even our students are often open to university, community, and web praise and scrutiny. Further, most of us have some sort of open-door policy, are employed at open campuses, opt for open access compositions, insist that the lines of communication be open across and within the department. However, as a new WPA at a large public Midwestern university, I've encountered a number of closed spaces as well. Since we're so used to open, closed can be even more surprising, especially when the barriers appear within our own programs. I would like to consider how examining the genre ecology that constitutes our work as WPAs can help us better identify the contexts that create these apparent open and closed spaces. Hopefully, better understanding of these spaces will allow us to make kairotic use of, as Amy Ferdinand-Stoley aptly notes, the rhetorical potential in being new. Honestly, accepting this newcomer role as opposed to denying or exploiting it has certain mileage in allowing strategic interventions into program and institutional culture, thus providing entrance into relationships and questions that may initially appear closed. In considering revisions to his own writing program, Dylan Dreyer suggests that WPA should think carefully about the genres through which their administration is enacted. If genre conventions organize social relations among students, administrators, and faculty, changes in such conventions can be signals of, and possibly provocations for, changes in social relations. At my own institution, simply cataloging the genres through which we are connected and that shape the relationships between instructional staff and students underscores why we are what we are. Our relationships are driven by programmatic documents, outcome statements, syllabi, templates, curriculum maps, and rubrics, course texts, open source materials, rhetorics, readers and grammars and mechanics handbooks, and digital interactive spaces, the program blog, wiki, and Twitter page. A number of items within this list are publicly under revision and directly open to change, which has contributed to a climate of simultaneous excitement about possibilities and anxiety about what lies beyond the semester. This nervous energy is palpable, the nervous energy of genre change. As do all genres, these social tools balance between the discourse of what has come before, the "this is the way it has always been done" narrative, and the potential of what can be in the future, given some tactical foresight, risk-taking, and innovation. Here, the opportunities provided through shiny newness are most apparent. Junior WPAs or JWPAs can respond to "this is the way it has always been done" with "why?" Because when asked curiously instead of as a confrontation, such questions can open up conversations about how the institutional culture, student population, and or knowledge about writing and writing programs has shifted since an initiative was last attempted. These shared genres, those established and those in earnest development, constitute our curriculum, demonstrate a living history of our program's trajectory, and promote transactions between administrators, instructors, and students. However, inventorying these genres leads me to the primary closure in our program: dialogue and reciprocal interaction across different instructional types, tenured and tenure-track faculty, full-time lecturers, part-time lecturers, and graduate assistants. How do you encourage uptake of our overtly interactional genre spaces, of genres that stretch the boundaries of the long-established ecology? One simple answer, to promote more interaction beyond simple transactions, has been to create a new space to invite a genre that hasn't had an established home in our program, that of the pedagogical email share. Such an email takes little effort on part of the participants and immediately builds community, the ideal casual intervention into closed relationships. Mid-semester, the program director and I decided to scrap our old listserv designations, rename them, and create a dedicated listserv for pedagogical shares entitled Discussion. After its creation, we emailed staff through the discussion listserv, encouraged them to post, and repeatedly discussed it during meetings. The change was met with acclaim. After posting, I even received some private emails, private, mind you, praising the change. But what's a discussion listserv without discussion? Can a genre exist without uptake? When a tree falls in the woods. The change has been incremental, and discussion has begun to trickle in, productively leaking into the social system of our program and creating useful fissures for further genre development. I hope to harness the rhetorical potential of being new, to close the gaps in assessment, open up new possibilities for collaboration, texts, and funding, and close down old guard assumptions about how it has always been done, particularly in relation to remedial associations of first-year writing. I hope that the listserv really does open a new space for discussion. By being mindful of the genre change we initiate as JWPAs, the relative uptake within our programs, and the conventions that take root, we can make the most of our newness. You're new but for a brief moment.